Two dudes watch cartoons. Two dudes watch cartoons. Two dudes watch cartoons. Two dudes watch cartoons. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Welcome back to Two Dudes Watch Cartoons, the podcast where two dudes, that's us, watch cartoons. My name is Evan.
And my name is Alex. Today we are covering Disney movie. We are covering Disney's Strange World. Now, you may be thinking, a new Disney movie? And I didn't hear about it? What? How did I miss this? How did this go off my radar? You are not alone. Do not worry. This movie was wildly undermarketed. I don't even know where to begin with this. Why did I not know this was a movie until it came out, Evan?
I don't think there was a huge marketing push. Also, one of their worst box office performers or openings of Disney animation of all time. I don't think that's any commentary on the movie. I think it was just supremely undermarketed. And yeah, all it seems like all the press we got was just like, this is the worst opening of all time of Disney animation. If it's any indication about like our knowledge of this movie, I was like looking through my notes. I was like, where's I titled my notes for this one "Strange Things," not what this movie is called.
So no. But this is just to go, like, this is a star-studded cast. It is a beautifully animated movie. We can get into the story and the plot. You know, it's not perfect. It has its moments. But appalling that this movie, it did so terrible at the box office that it's already streaming on Disney+. But the caveat, it jumped to number 1 on Disney+ within a matter of days.
Yeah.
So I think that's a bit more of an indication of the quality of this movie, not the opening box office.
Yeah.
But we're going to get into, go ahead.
You could make, I know I ragged on it when we talked about it, but you can make a similar point about Black Adam. It performed pretty well on HBO Max when it released there. I think it's just, we're not, other than fucking James Cameron's Avatar, it's not a strong box office. The people are still hesitant to head back to theaters unless it's for the big event blockbusters.
Yeah. No, you're so right. And not to get like real into the death of Hollywood, but the whole thing with Babylon that just happened, how underperforming it did in movie theaters. We're going to be in a weird time for the next 5-10 years of movie releases. I'm a bit concerned about it. I don't want to get into the big overarching theories, but like we're already seeing where it's going. Like you said, it's only going to be event movies. It has to be a movie that's going to, I actually think I heard freaking Matt Damon talking about this of all people, where the rom-coms, the low budget movies, they just are not going to get made as much anymore because it has to be some sort of huge commercial success because there's no DVD sales on the back end. That's a huge part of it as well.
Ooh,
and so
I remember watching that interview.
They would make money back on the DVD sales. But so one thing, and I hinted at this at the beginning of the hour, Black Adam, Strange World. Now, so we used to have to wait 6 months to like a year sometimes after a movie was in theaters before you could get the DVD or before you could watch it again. It would go out of theaters and you'd be like, damn, I love that movie. How do I want to watch it? And you couldn't. And then it would come out on DVD. We now live in the era where it would, be in theaters and then it would go on to streaming like 6 months to a year later. We are now in the era where weeks after premiering in theaters, movies are on streaming services. I
think we talked about this before. I think it is it's average 45 days. So this released November 15th, 2022. I think it came out on streaming January-ish. So
yeah,
right around 45-day mark.
It is around that 45-day mark.
Early though.
Black Adam was early. I won't defend it. But so what an interesting indication now, because if they can milk it in the movie theaters as long as they can, they're going to. You know what I mean? So this is an indication now we live in of like, oh, wow, it got to streaming so fast. But I do think we just live in this post-COVID landscape where a large number of people are only streaming movies now. they aren't going to the movie theater. I know a few people like this that are just like, I don't really have a desire to go to the movie theater.
Yeah. That's one of my resolutions for this year is to go to the theater more. I went, God, Avatar was the first one I saw. I want to go back and watch, okay, this is a little behind the curtain. We're recording this before episode 50, but I do plan to go watch Puss in Boots in theaters because I think that'll just be a lot of fun. Or if I don't get around to it, it might be out on streaming by then. I don't know. We'll see.
Could be. No. We should go see it in theaters. I've been seeing more. Me and Nikki love going to the theater. Her grandpa enjoys going with us too, so we go pretty regularly. We just saw The Whale last night, and not to spoil it, but I haven't. I don't think I've ever actually like full on sobbed in a movie theater before. Okay. And I was like ugly crying. So if that sort of movie interests you, it was just so moving and so beautiful. But I'm a movie theater guy. I love going to the movie theater. So interesting times. But let's get back into this box office failure, but streaming success. Strange World. Let's start with the cast. It's got an amazing cast. The lead, Jake Gyllenhaal, took me way too long to place. I'm gonna be honest, because I was like, I know the voice. I was like, how? I was like, don't look it up. I was like, how do I know this voice? It drove me kind of crazy.
Yeah. So I think most of the main voice cast. I've been seeing clips of this on TikTok of sort of the press circuit that they did for this movie. There are two clips that stand out to me. I think it's like Jake Gyllenhaal with Jaboukie Young-White, who plays his son in this movie, and Dennis Quaid, who plays his father. The first clip that I've seen circulating online is Dennis Quaid and Jake Gyllenhaal have actually played father and son in a movie before. And it's The Day After Tomorrow. And Dennis Quaid remembers that. And Jake Gyllenhaal goes, really? Because apparently, I guess they didn't have any scenes together in that movie. He literally did not know that they were in that movie together. And then the other clip...
That's so funny.
Yeah, the other clip is... I don't know what the question is, but Jake Gyllenhaal's like summing up the movie with his two co-stars next to him. And he ends it with like what he thinks is going to be a real thing. He goes, because we do live in a pretty strange world. And nobody reacts. It's just crickets. It's painful.
This is why the press circuit failed. So no, I'm joking.
Yeah,
that is pretty funny. He's transitioned into that dad joke era. So, I don't know, and maybe you can answer this, Evan. Has he ever voice acted before?
Not that I am aware of.
I thought he was just all right voice acting.
Yeah,
he had a similar even keel throughout a lot of it.
But like prior to, I guess, No Way Home is like a big blockbuster-y thing that he's done recently. But I've, for the most part, thought of him as like a more dramatic actor.
Yeah.
Nightcrawler, Zodiac. I think he was in that with, was Robert Downey Jr. in that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Donnie Darko. Those are more, he was also, what was it? There was a video game movie he did. Prince of Time, Prince of Sands.
I don't know. You've lost me there, unfortunately.
It's like a video game franchise where the thing is like you can control time with your dagger. It's not Prince of Egypt. I don't know.
Well, what are you getting to with this Jake Gyllenhaal point?
I don't necessarily. I don't buy him as the. I don't know. He didn't fit like the
you
father.
Don't see him the father figure type role here. Okay,
and maybe it's because I see his face too much with this character. Like it's I just hear Jake Gyllenhaal, but I guess he is at that time in his life. But I mean, not to knock his performance or anything. It's just like hard for me to disassociate that.
Sure. No. I got you. I'll knock it a little. His performance was just all right. So it was nothing to write home about. He was not like, he didn't have this great vocal range. It made me realize maybe most his acting is done in his face, which is totally normal and fine for most
actors.
For most actors. So he was good. And then Dennis Quaid was his father. The film opens with father and son. So Jake Gyllenhaal's character's name is Searcher. What did you think of that? Did you like that?
Didn't remember that from the movie. I only know that now because I'm looking at the Wikipedia. That just feels like lazy writing. Like Dennis Quaid's character name is Jaeger Clade, which sounds pretty fucking badass. I do like the opening scene. It's like comic book-y looking, animated. I don't know, but Searcher is the best he could come up with. I don't know.
They're adventurers, and he was like on his shoulders. He was the searcher when they would go out, exploring.
Welcome to Two Dudes Watch Cartoons. I'm podcaster Evan. Like, I don't know.
Okay, yeah, no, I get you. But here's what I will say: is this is like supposed to be like, not to spoil the whole movie, but so this is like some sort of alien planet, and we're led to believe it's some sort of alien planet. They're cut off from civilization. This is just their naming mechanism. Like I'm surprised that Searcher didn't name his son Farmer. Right? No, isn't that the bigger shock?
Yeah.
But so I guess now that I've already started diving into it, let's get into the world here. This is one of the strengths of the movie, in my opinion, is the little world building that they've come up with here. They live in, not me wanting to say Andor. What's the name of their? It's not Andor. I know it's not.
Pando is the stuff. They harvest.
Pando, one letter away from Avalonia. They live in Avalonia, which is surrounded by the largest mountains ever. They're like in a valley, and they cannot get past the mountains.
Yeah.
Jaeger, the dad, he believes salvation for his people lies beyond the mountains, which seems fair to me. If they don't have everything they need there, you go looking for it elsewhere, I guess. So that's his job. He's an explorer. He has a kid along the way who goes exploring with him. And the opening scene here, it's the team of them. I liked the opening scene. It was maybe just like it was like a little on the nose. I don't want to call this movie predictable. Yeah, it was a little. Yeah, like it was like, no, Dad, that's your dream. It was
in the first 5 minutes.
It was the first 5 minutes we got into a no, Dad, that's your dream, not mine. So, he is like, no, we can. They find these electric plants. I enjoyed the sci-fi of this. I think that was, like I said, one of the strengths. This, I haven't even said it yet. It was going to be my opener. This reminded me of Lightyear, the movie. Like them on their alien planet. You see the similarities?
I do. I was thinking Treasure Planet. I was thinking...
Yeah, that's a good one, too.
Atlantis. Weirdly, Disney animation has this like tradition of one-off kind of underrated cult... maybe not cult classic, but like pretty solid sci-fi movies. Treasure Planet is one where... apparently that was like punted down the line several times because I think the guys who directed that were responsible for like some of the big 90s hits like Lion King, or maybe not that one, but a couple of the 90s hits. And like Treasure Planet was their dream movie, and Disney kept kicking it down the road so they'd crank out more hits. But yeah, this reminded me immediately of that, and it's like the sci-fi steampunky almost kind of vibe in this world as well, which is pretty cool. Yeah,
I like the futuristic type of world. But, I don't want to just flat out spoil it. We're only so far into it, for those who haven't. But so it's
like a journey to
very
the center
much
of the
like
Earth or something.
Yeah, it's very much like an alien planet, though. I don't know how to describe it. The visuals are stunning. The visuals, another huge. The sci-fi, the visuals, all A+ here. The story was whatever for me. So I think this is one of the few properties we have reviewed where I think while I was watching it, I was like, I would have loved this as a kid. I'm just liking it right now.
Yeah. That's about where I land. It's like there really isn't much to knock about this movie, but on the flip side, it's like I didn't leave it wanting to really dive into that world. Granted, I'm not.
I don't need a sequel.
The target demographic, but I think they do a great job of world building within this, and that I do appreciate. I don't know, it's good. This is a good movie.
It is good. That's why
I think kids
I don't
will love
want.
it.
Yeah, I don't want what I'm saying to sound like I'm like, no, I was out on it, because there was a ton that I really did enjoy about it. I think, like Evan was saying, while there's not much to knock about it, I don't have a ton of like huge praises though. It was very steady Eddie the whole time for me. It was good. It was very good. Some of it was predictable, which was fine. There was one twist that kept me a little twisted there at the end, but like it was just like. It was like I thought this was going to be the twist, but they took it like one step further than so. It's good. They're on this big planet, and so they're adventuring. He finds these plants that are electric, and he's like, "This could change our civilization if we have electricity, if we have this power source." Which I loved that. How do you like? It was Thomas Edison, but instead he's like, I'm gonna be a farmer. Like, I don't know how to describe it. I really enjoyed that.
So the plant that they harvest is called pando, and they look like little Brussels sprouts that are electrically charged.
They do.
And maybe this is an apt metaphor for this movie, is that like this is very much in the vein of those like pulpy adventure kind of treasure island or whatever type things, but rather than following the adventurer, who is his dad, Jaeger Clade, you're following the science officer of this party. He's the main protagonist.
You nailed Wyatt. You're so right. It feels
it's a little more mundane. It's not as but and this is a very fun adventure still. But it is the difference, I think.
You're right. Yeah. No, we stay with the guy who's like.
You're not following Buzz Lightyear in this movie.
You're following his captain, who had to wait 13 years between each mission. She's back farming the planet. But for real, no, it's like 25 years later. And I'm not going to lie, this is so silly, but I like let out a little gasp. I was like, that's so long. Not dramatic at all. Happens in the first 10 minutes of the movie, but then it goes 25 years later. I was like, I don't know why. I was so shocked by that.
Speaking of time jumps, I went and saw Les Mis yesterday with Haley and Dylan and our friend Delaney, and I watched the movie like I don't know, whenever that came out 10 years ago or something, and I swear this musical time jumps like 3-4 times, maybe twice in the first 10 minutes. I was like, oh man, I really don't remember what happens, but it goes like 20 years into the future. I was like, man, if you don't know what they're saying in the songs, you're gonna struggle keeping up. It was pretty cool. It was fun.
Yeah. Huge time jump, but he has revolutionized their civilization with electricity. He's like the world's biggest farmer, and then he's got a nice beautiful wife. He's got a kid now. What's his kid's name? Ethan,
voiced by Jaboukie Young-White. What were you gonna say?
Great. He was good. He was really good. He felt more like a voice actor than Jake Gyllenhaal did. But so what's the grandpa's name? Jaeger, Searcher, Ethan. What the fuck? What is going on? This is one qualm I had. Why did they lose the sci-fi-esque like adventurer names? Literally go down to Ethan. His mom's name? Meridian. How like what? That's so cool. Where'd you guys get Ethan?
Meridian is voiced by Gabrielle Union. Isn't she married to Dwayne Wade? In real life?
No.
Right?
There's no Dwayne Wade?
Wade, the basketball player? Not Johnson.
I was thinking The Rock Johnson for a minute. I'm sorry. So you could be correct. That's why I stopped. If you caught me, I was no. And then I was like, hold on. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, she is married to Dwayne Wade, the basketball player. Also, an actress in her own right. She's all that. 10 Things I Hate About You. Bring It On.
Mm-hmm. Bring It On is what she's most famous for. Yes.
All-time classic.
Maybe not most famous, but that's what I think of. I don't love Bring It On, but I've watched it a weird number of times.
Brr, it's cold
in here. There must be some Toros in the atmosphere. Classic.
How do you remember Toros? That was there too.
I know. I watched it a weird number of times, bro. I wasn't lying.
Yeah. Okay, so Ethan's character, I want to talk about this a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I think this might color
yes,
some
you're
of the
so
perspective
right.
around this film. Ethan is an openly gay character. First openly gay character? Disney's
Bro,
first openly
first openly gay character. I'm so sick of Disney's 1 foot in, 1 foot out approach with the LGBT of
But
it
this
all.
is the first time it's explicitly stated.
I
Ethan-
think that's why it wasn't marketed. I think that's why it didn't flop. We're just getting into it. Fuck you, Disney. This is typical Disney MO.
Is it that they didn't market it, or has it been a review bombed?
I'm thinking it's not playing in major places that still go see movies. Cough, cough, China.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that wouldn't pass in whatever. Yeah,
No, that's not flying in China. It's not flying. So I'm sure I didn't even think about it, but that's got to be why it also probably bombed at the box office. But think about it from Disney. They work backwards. If they know it's not going to air in China or somewhere that's going to get them so many sales, they're not going to spend as much on marketing for it. It's a sunken cost value. Why would I spend marketing on this if I already know it's probably not going to do great?
yeah. But then it's okay. I'm not arguing.
It's a
with you.
self-fulfilling prophecy because now they can be like, oh, look what happened when we included an openly gay character. It pisses me off. This is what I'm saying is Disney's whole 1 foot in, 1 foot out approach is really messed up, actually. It's them trying to wave the rainbow flag in private, and it's bullshit.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're totally right. And that's like for a movie like this, that's one of the sad things. Is like people should watch this. This is great. They don't treat it as anything abnormal or super
even
special.
Yeager, when he finds out, I thought there was going to be a comment, something about it. Yeager, the old man grandpa, treated it like it was nothing else too. It was really well done. It was very well handled. But because knowing fucking Disney, I just know them. Sorry, you can go on with what you're saying. It makes me angry.
No, like that's why I would encourage people to watch this. This is, the family dynamic they capture in this is really great. Granted, the grandfather-father dynamic that they very quickly set up in the first 5 minutes, it feels a little undercooked, but it's...
Listen, we're going to get into it, so we're just going to talk about it now. It literally went from, no, Dad, that's your dream, not mine, to another generational of the kid who was saying no. He did it to his own son. He couldn't learn from his own mistakes in his own life. And so I was just like, we got to learn this lesson twice, not this.
I think we learn it once, and he becomes his father. I mean, that's part of the storytelling. Is like when they're on the ship, it's like, oh, they're the same person. Ethan and Meridian talk about it while they're in the cockpit.
Yep. It would be if Troy Bolton made his son do theater and he's like, no, Dad, I want to play basketball.
Yeah.
You just like the irony wasn't like, it was, like I said, a little predictable in that manner where it was one of those things that if I was a child, I think I would have loved this a ton more than I did.
I think writing wise, if they hadn't called it out explicitly in the first 5 minutes with I'm not you, Dad, like that would have felt better packaged to me as a theme.
That's fair.
And then as sort of this thing that can sit with the character for 25 years. But again, we're not the primary audience for this. So, take it with a grain of salt. So 25 years later, he's harvested Pando all across the world, mastered this element. There's a blossoming society because what were they like on the brink of extinction?
Well, yeah, they were horse and buggy, no technology, and now they have flying cars. So just think about that technological jump they made in these 25 years.
Yeah. And it's all thanks to Searcher Quaid. Yeager has a statue in the town square, and does Searcher have one as well?
Yep, they both do.
And it's
Searcher's
taller.
is a little taller. He makes sure to point out to his dad.
And you're introduced to this beautiful family life that he has before they set off on the adventure. Maybe the one thing I'll knock in this movie is the random fucking dance scene. Like when they're cooking in the kitchen.
Evan, ready for this? I'm actually a little shocked. I know you love cooking animations. I thought you were gonna like this scene. I thought you were gonna really like it.
It's fun.
They did dance a lot, though. You're right.
But there's no lead into it, and there's no follow up to it. It's not like, oh, as a family, for me that didn't ring true, because that felt like we're trying to make it seem like a normal family, and it's like, why
that, and also he's like, what kid wants to see their parents smooch? Just things like that. It was just kind of like,
I think if you
like
left
Full
it with
House kind of corny.
If you left it with that dialogue, though, and then not jumping into this random dancing cooking scene, I wouldn't have had a problem with it.
The food looked great. We love cooking animation. The food and the cooking look great. The dancing, maybe not as enjoyable.
Yeah. And it was like, this was probably a creative choice, but it was like that, like 20s, like, but like with like a like an electronic beat to it.
I didn't even catch that. You were paying
Something
way
like
more attention to that.
There's something along those lines. But yeah, that probably makes more sense for like the pulpy sci-fi vibe that they're going for, and probably fits that time. But that, I don't know. It felt excessive. It felt like they were really trying to drive home that point, and almost
fair
to the point of it being a disservice to like the actual core of the family.
I get you.
A small nitpick, and that's the thing. There's not a whole lot to knock about this movie, so I'm just going to nitpick things here and there.
Yeah. You just got to nitpick where you can, right?
Yeah. They're cooking, and then it's interrupted by a giant plane landing.
They've never seen an airship this big.
Farm. Yeah. And it's a character who she was around in the intro scene.
She was one of the adventurers that was with them when the fight happened.
Okay.
So she's a bit older than our main character. She's now the president of the world. I'm not even kidding. I think that's what they called her.
How big is this world?
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you want me to spoil it? I can tell you how big it is.
Yeah,
so,
sure. Okay.
so they show up with a literal call to action, and so she's like, "We gotta go." Sorry, I'm being a dick.
Literal paint by numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. So Pando is like dying earlier. Like, to me, it was like our battery life has gone in half. Like, I don't know. It just didn't feel that dire of a circumstance to me to like warrant a journey to the center of the earth, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's Jor-El being early to calling out that Krypton is going to die, like the first time he says it. And again, we're following the science officer, so
you're so
it makes
right.
sense that they're calling it early.
That's so funny. That's a good one. So they do though. They catch it. Yeah, they catch it really early. They're like, it's just not lasted as long. It's some sort of virus, or I don't know. But what do they do? Oh, so all the Pando roots underneath the surface are connected all across the world. This probably should have been our first red flag. No biological thing does that unless it's like a virus.
Yeah.
So, they find out they're all connected, and they need to figure out, though, what's siphoning the electronic charge of the Brussels sprouts. And so they pinpoint where all the roots take like a long, deep dive down into the earth. And like Evan said, now journey to the center of the earth is what this becomes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it was Goofy. He was like, "You can't come," and then son and wife ended up on the adventure. And dog ended up in the adventure in 5 minutes. Like, there was very little, I don't know. Like I said, predictable. When he was like, "You can't come," I was like, he's going to pop out of a suitcase or a closet at the first chance he gets on that airship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it does maybe fall prey to it being a Disney animation movie and not
100%
a Pixar story, per se.
Yeah, true, kind of. You're so right.
Yeah,
Pixar's got better writers.
Yeah, they're not trying to reinvent the wheel. They play the hits because they know
You're
it
so
works.
right. You're so right. And like I said, I really like if it is a paint by numbers, I'm loving the spin on it, the sci-fi. So ready for this? We keep saying it's sci-fi. I feel like it is always presented as sci-fi. Does it feel a little magic to you?
Sci-fi fantasy, yeah. Especially with the twist at the end.
Well, I think once we get deeper and deeper down, the more I was like, this feels like magic. Not as much sci-fi anymore.
Should we...
Not complaining. I just thought that's, interesting tone shift. Now, we'll take a word from our sponsors.
This podcast is supported by Lumina. Lumina is an AI-powered webcam that makes you look good on every video call. 4K resolution, adaptive color correction, autofocus and bokeh so you get that nice blur in the background, and of course my favorite feature, the AI cameraman that follows you around the frame to keep you centered at all times. Zhuzh up your video calls and stop looking like dog doo-doo with Lumina. You can use promo code 2dudes for 10% off your purchase at getlumina.com. That's code TWO dudes at getlumina.com. Back to the podcast.
Two dudes watch cartoons.
I feel like it's going to be hard to dance around.
Let's do it. Let's rip the Band-Aid off.
So,
I'm sorry if you haven't seen it, Dylan Dunn.
Spoiler alert. We're going to spoil this movie now. Please stop if you have not watched this movie
Avalon
or plan to.
Is on... What are they called in Avatar?
A lion turtle. That's exactly
they're on a giant lion turtle floating through the sea.
In, yeah.
Oh my God. I love this, though. I'll be honest. I really loved it. I didn't see it coming at all. I started to piece together the deeper they went that it was a living organism, but I just thought that it was like a space planet that was a living organism. You know what I mean? It quickly turned into Osmosis Jones, and I really liked that.
Yeah. We spend the bulk of the action, the bulk of the movie inside this lion turtle. That's not what it is, but we only see the eye of it, really.
Strange world. Strange world.
A strange world, yeah. Most of what you see in the trailer, takes place inside the strange world. And what it really reminds me of is like some of the quantum verse scenes in like Ant-Man, or like Doctor Strange will have it sometimes, where it's just like this really beautiful, colorful, bizarre looking stuff. And I think, as a kid, it's like this is the stuff you would definitely eat up.
This would be crack to me as a kid. I think this, though, is an argument for making an animated movie versus like CGIing this stuff, because it was truly stunning and beautiful at times. And I'm not trying to continue to rag on Avatar. We're going to move past that. But just like, it made me think, what about if they did like a really well done, just fully animated Avatar? I think that could be kind of cool.
Or as a different frame of reference, like looking at the Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumanium trailers, it's like, it kind of looks cool, but then you put Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly on, like, and it's pretty apparent that it's green screen. I don't know. There's only so far.
Spy Kids.
Yeah, there's only Spy Kids. That's It becomes that. There's only so convincing it can be.
Correct.
Green screen
you know what, Evan? You totally just took the words out of my mouth. There is only so convincing it can be. Even with Avatar, it can only be so convincing. So this is my argument, like, as a medium, if you're going to do something that is not based in like reality, I think animation is just the way you should go. I genuinely do. It's something I felt strongly for a while now. And I think this is a great example of it, is this would have fallen way flat as a live action movie, in my opinion.
A lot of the things and the monsters or the creatures that we'll encounter, I guess, are organs or
antibodies,
blood streams.
You don't know this. It's part of the mystery, part of the strange world, which is fun. But like I said, there was a point where this is how I connected it. So there's a point where I was like, oh, this reminds me of Batman the Brave and the Bold, when the Atom and Aquaman go into Batman's bloodstream and they're like fighting off everything. And then that was when I connected. I was like, oh, it's a living organism. I was like, these are antibodies. And so I think it was when the big gray ones like rolled up and like demolished all the metal. And I was like, oh, they're getting rid of anything that doesn't belong here. And I was like, much like an immune system would.
I'll be honest, you were paying much closer attention than I would.
So you didn't catch it till the end?
I was like half scrolling my phone watching this movie.
Son
I
of a
will be honest. It was still very fun and exciting. But and so this is the reason for my next question. So this is a body. There's the antibodies and the organs. There's the acid lake, which was the stomach, and some of the other stuff he explains. What is the pando? What function of the body?
No, the pando was like a virus. It was killing the whole thing. That's why they needed to get rid of it.
Oh, so okay, and then at the end they're completely pando free?
They're completely pando free at the end.
Oh, okay.
They're wind energy now, which the Meridian ended up figuring out with the wind energy because she's a flying expert.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the twist. So I thought, though, I thought it was going to be a living thing and they were going to save Pando and it was and everything would be good. So the twist of that the Pando was bad was where I was like, oh, that's okay. Yeah, it was like a virus. And so it was a nice shift in perspective that it took Ethan, the non-sci-fi named grandson, it took his perspective of, having the adventurer and the farmer in him. It took kind of both those worlds for him to come to the understanding of what was going on.
Yeah. I don't want to gloss over them entering the strange new world. There's a lot of exciting, visually very cool like set pieces in this movie. One of them is when they first enter, they kill off a dude. They kill off the original pilot. Very early
They do.
on.
Yeah, you're right.
And that's where Meridian, because she's a pilot, has to come in and save them. But like they lose control of the vessel, the ship that they're in, and they start nosediving. And at one point, the dog or someone loses grip of the dog, and it starts flying up. And Searcher, this was the most badass thing in the movie. Searcher Quaid, like matrixes, like lets go of the railings he's hanging onto, guides himself,
uses
off
the momentum, pushes himself a couple times. Yeah,
grabs the dog. I was like, okay, that was badass. And I think if I were a kid, I'd be doing like that. I'd be jumping on my couch, like pushing myself with my hands. So there is 100% so much to love in this movie.
There is. And I think there's a lot of really fun moments like that, a lot of visual things. And like I said, you get to this new strange world and like, we're not even going to be able to do justice to half the things you see down here. They're just so cool and cockamamie and strange and colorful and gooey and ooey and like it's great. It's really fun. And someone says it at one point, everything down here is alive. And you can see it. Like he's like, I love this tree. He's like, look at this tree, it's breathing. Like, yeah, there's a lot of really like interesting and cool stuff in the new strange world. AKA just in the sea lion turd or whatever, in the belly of the beast.
Once we get into the strange world, they lose control of the vessel, so the ship is downed, but they all are, they're in good condition.
Classically.
Searcher gets separated and stumbles upon, after 25 years, Jaeger Clade, or, doesn't know this at first. He's a guy in like a bushcraft outfit, like whatever has been thrown together. And the scene was like, we saw this in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Is that 2 or that's 2? Yeah, Quantumania
2.
3. That's how we meet Michelle Pfeiffer in that movie. We also saw this in Aquaman. That's how we meet Nicole Kidman's character.
Yeah,
and so right. I mean, I guess I'm glad that they serve it up to us early, and so Jaeger is part of the
story.
Most of the adventure and most of the story.
What I love about Jaeger's story is because it's like, we left you in the mountains, bro. What are you doing in the center of the earth? He goes, well, I wasn't able to get up over the mountains, so I had a new strategy. I'll go under. And for anyone who's played Minecraft, this is like such a real thing where you're like trying to get somewhere and you're like, fuck, I can't get. You're like, I'll just dig under, like I'll just go under then. And so I like thought that was so funny and so realistic because I was like, yeah, that's ingenuity. Or the other classic one is if you've ever played Skyrim and you're like trying to jump up the mountain like you can and you can't. I was like, he should have just tried some of that. But no, he tries to go under the mountains, like through them, which brilliant. Like I said, innovative. I really like Jaeger. Jaeger was not like a perfect father by any means, but I think he was like a very like great character.
Yeah. And they strike a good balance of like, obviously there are these underlying issues between everyone in the family, right? But they don't make Jaeger particularly unlikable at any point. So it's like
He's a bad guy, but not the bad guy.
Mm-hmm. He has that flamethrower, right?
Oh,
that he
great.
blazes trails with, and then at one point,
really necessary, honestly.
Yeah, towards the end, at one point he like breaks it apart or pulls some pieces out, and there's two sickles. What was the mechanics of that? What is that?
I had the same thought you did. I go, why the hell were the two sickles helping the fucking flamethrower? What the hell? Also, his flamethrower seemed unlimited juice. Like, he didn't give a damn. Like, I don't know what it ran on, but he was just lighting things up left and right.
It ran on plot armor. That's what
This is great.
I've been seeing more TikToks of Puss in Boots, which we watched in the past. We watched last episode.
I hate you. Why would you say that? Go on. Go on.
And people have been praising the villain, and I've seen one clip where he whips out these fucking dope ass like sickles. So I don't know.
What would you say is the villain in this to get us back on topic?
The villain in this, is there a villain? Here's one for you. No. At one point, it's the president, because they make the realization that Pando, they're inside a living creature, and Pando is actively harming it. And then don't they like apprehend? There's
a mutiny.
The family. Yeah, there's a mutiny, and the president arrests them.
There's an abduction. Well, I guess not a mutiny. The people in power silence the scientist. Yeah. So it goes back to really typical sci-fi.
Yeah.
It goes back to, damn, I don't need this scientist to tell me what to do, and they lock him up in like a supply closet. There's a very funny sequence of the dog trying to open the door, and we haven't even mentioned Splat, the best character in the movie, who is Osmosis Jones but can't talk and shorter. And so Splat does this funny sequence of where Splat slides under the door, unlocks it, shows the dog how to do it, and then slides back in. And I love how the whole family like acknowledges, like, you Splat, you idiot, but they didn't spend any time on it. Like, they were just like, whatever. And they went in, and then this is probably the funniest part of the whole movie, was they're like, we need to overtake the ship and we need to get it. And they all run in with a weapon, and they're like, and the guy goes, I don't even know how to fly, just take it, I don't even care. And he leaves, and they're like, that was easier than we thought. That was the funniest part of the whole movie to me.
I don't know for sure. Okay, never mind. I was gonna guess who the voice actor was of that, but I think I may have been wrong.
Were you wrong?
I think I was wrong. Potentially. But I also don't know the character's name, so I'm just guessing.
But that was really funny to me.
I actually... they don't really set it up in a good guy, bad guy way, because at the end they're all, they all work together, whatever. But I think that's like sneaky anti-capitalist not really, because Disney's the most capitalist organization in the world, but it's like the institutions in power want to maintain that power and aren't willing to give up the thing that keeps the their society / the economy running for the betterment of the environment.
That's why they didn't put marketing dollars into this.
True. They're like, ooh, we don't want kids. Don't internalize this, kids.
How did we greenlight this? They're like, what the hell? They're like a gay son and anti-capitalist? Who let this go through? This is very not Disney. And I'm telling you, it adds up why they would not put marketing dollars into it. Because then it's also like the self-fulfilling prophecy, like you said. They're like, look, these type of movies, they just don't do well. Look at the numbers. What do you want us to do?
I found the character's name, and I actually was correct. I think the crew member who gives up the lead is the nerdy one. Voiced by Karan Soni, who is like the nerdy sidekick in Deadpool and Deadpool 2. Indian guy. His voice is super easy to spot.
That's so funny. One thing I didn't like about him is he just gave up the whole ship, but then when they were trying to ram in, he was like, watch out, boss, I got this. And I was like, dude, you just gave it to them. Like, why are you now? I was like, whatever.
Any other particular set pieces that you loved?
Yeah, the ending when they're outside actually looking at the giant turtle island that they're on it's really stunning, watching it open its eye, and its eye is like the galaxy, it's like space. It's really beautiful. And at the end it's kind of hinted that this ginormous turtle is swimming Earth. Did you get that But like,
I don't know that it's supposed to be Earth, but it's swimming
planet.
on
Okay.
a planet. Yeah.
It gave me big Hunter x Hunter vibes for anyone who's watched the anime. Is they have like this whole world set that's designated, but then they find out like, oh, this is actually just a very small part of a very large world. And so this leads me to my question. Do you think there will be sequels?
I mean, based on box office performance, no.
Take box office out of it. Based on the ending, do you think do you think the writers were preparing or hoping for sequels?
I want to say, I'm going to say no, because I don't think there's really anywhere else. They establish a new society. I guess they could maybe go into like series about different adventures, or maybe earlier adventures is maybe the direction to go. Like what precedes Yeager's earlier adventures. What were you going to say?
So I agree. When I left the movie, I felt like, oh, they really closed that. Like they didn't like leave it open for sequels. They weren't really trying to juice it. But I will say the turtle being on this giant planet, it did make me think, oh, there's probably a lot more adventure out there outside the giant turtle island.
Okay. Yeah. So they could bump into another turtle.
Something.
Pitch me your sequel.
They're just hanging outside the turtle's eye and they run into land finally, continent. Go see what's there.
Oh, okay. My mind
Land ahoy. The turtle finally reached its destination. What about that? It's been swimming for millennia.
Yeah.
I would like it also if it was another like maybe 50, 100 years in the future, because I did think the progression, like in Buzz Lightyear, the progression of their civilization was pretty interesting to the story.
This is unrelated to this movie, but so there,
Okay.
it's about technological advancement in fictional properties.
Okay.
And a show we happen to love very much. But there is a new Avatar series coming out, and it's going to be the Earth Avatar that follows Korra. And one thing that franchise does really well is progress the technology through
civilization.
Even within the shows themselves, Avatar, there is like a little bit of a progression of technology, beginning and end. They get blimps by the end of it, and then in Korra, they have,
it's not funny. You're right.
They have exoskeletons. Granted, they don't hold cups of coffee, but they have exoskeletons and robots,
giant
and
mechas at the end of Korra.
Steampunk. So I wonder where it will go with the next Avatar. I don't know.
You think the Avatar will see space? I want a prediction from you right now. Will the Avatar moon bend?
They got to do that now that you.
Yeah, Evan's like, well, now,
that sounds fucking badass. Yeah,
he's like, now that it's out there, it's happening. Yeah, I can see. Honestly, I see like the opening scene, them like moving moon rocks like workers. They're like, gotta get these back down to Earth, like something like that.
I was thinking more, will the Avatar be texting? But moonbending is
the
a lot
Avatar
cooler.
Sending Snapchats.
Also, they'll only be able to talk to Korra.
Yeah.
Unless
story-wise,
in her lifetime.
Is that a mistake? Did they make a mistake story-wise?
That is one of my least favorite things about how Korra ends. Yeah.
I think it's really to like signify that I'm my own person. I'm my own avatar, but like we get it.
Yeah, but in doing that, we're talking about it, but in doing that, you're severing all of our previous attachment to
I know.
Avatar,
Trust me.
Okay.
I love Roku. I love Kyoshi. No. Okay, so we're just straight talking Avatar now. Let's switch back to straight.
I really like the set piece where they're jumping on the red blood cells through the air.
It was no. It's really great though.
Cool. Yeah.
And that was one of the moments that I realized I was like, this is a bloodstream. I was like, I'm piecing together this thing's alive. But I thought the Pando was alive also. I thought it was part of it all. I didn't think it was attacking it.
Yeah. I am not a fan, or I've had enough of, and I know this is how Disney makes their money.
Okay.
The cute animal character. In this one, it's Splat, or whatever they call it, the Blob.
Splat.
There's always one.
There's always one. Sometimes two. I go to, what's the Rapunzel movie? Tangled?
Pascal?
It's got the horse and the chameleon.
Yeah. Okay. Those are Pascal's pretty
It's like, well, let's not get carried away here. Some need to stay. Evan instantly backtracked his whole argument. He was like, well, hold on now. We can't be getting rid of classics here.
But I don't know.
You just didn't like Splat.
I don't think I like Splat.
So I liked Splat. I have a D&D character that is a plasmoid that is literally like more humanoid looking version of Splat, and he gets run out of towns because he looks like a freak.
So osmosis, Jim.
Kind of, yeah. But he lives in the human world, and he's like really dumb because he doesn't talk or hang out with anyone.
Okay, life size. Interesting.
His name's Blob though, and he doesn't have a name, but people call him Blob, so that's just what he goes by.
Okay.
So I like Splat. I guess that was the reason I was sharing that story. I kind of liked Splat. I was like, oh yeah, it's kind of like Blob.
How's that campaign going? How long do campaigns last? I've never done a
this is a very casual one. It was to get some people into D&D, so this one is like when we can. But some campaigns, they meet like once a week for like 2-3 years, which is not how I play D&D, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I can do like a once a month with people, and that'll last for a while. But this one specifically with Blob was to get some individuals to start playing D&D. So that one's very casual, very fun, but casual.
Okay. We don't mean to be treading water right now, but
Evan's looking at the clock, trying to hit the hour mark. He's like, look, let's get into
what I do want to talk about. Like, let's talk about the family dynamics. I think the emotional climax of the movie, or trajectory of the movie, is the relationships between Yeager and Searcher, Jake Gyllenhaal and Dennis Quaid, very estranged, and Ethan and Searcher. And eventually Yeager and Ethan also make a connection of their own. Ethan's arc in this whole thing is that, lives a small town farmer's life and wants to go explore. He hears the legacy of his grandfather, Yeager Clade, and wants a life of adventure, which is something that Searcher has fought very hard
against.
Not even against, so that he wouldn't need necessarily.
Yeah.
And I want to ask, which of these three, I guess, let's throw Meridian in there as well, do you think you relate to the most?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm not a grandpa. I think I have to rule out Yeager. Like, I don't have any kids.
Let's
you know what I mean?
Let's talk about the traits. Character trait wise,
I see. So, I guess I probably feel more like an Ethan.
Okay.
Small town farmer wanting to go see and do big things, but I can't pack my bag according to my dreams.
According to your dreams.
Throwback joke. That was weeks ago.
Weeks ago. Not mere hours ago. So I guess it's like Ethan is yearning for adventure because he has a small town life. Searcher is having come from instability, wants nothing more than that. Wants
That's
security
what he craves.
And routine. Does a great job. It literally builds a whole society with his scientific discovery.
Yep. And Yeager's about legacy and yes, that too. Yeah.
Fear of settling down.
Failure.
Fear of So they're super interesting.
He even
dynamics.
admits at the end there's a bit of like a sunken cost thing there. He's like, I've been doing this for so long, like I can't not see it through.
Probably because I wasn't paying super close attention to those, but the more that I think about it, like that actually hits home. Like that is so profound.
It was one of the best parts of the story.
Yeah. Searcher goes, I am willing to give up my legacy for Ethan. And that's like, he's saying this to Yeager, and that's something you're never willing to do. There's all this resentment and anger. It's like his dad abandoned him for fear of not having a legacy. And it's like, and so, it's a chip on his shoulder. He's not worthy of Yeager's time or attention or love. I should really give this another watch because
I hate when you do this. Besides the classic, no, Dad, that's your dream. The generational pass down of wants and needs per se was very fascinating. How that gets filtered through sort of Searcher. You know what I mean? Because he gets it on both ends. Him trying to figure it out, and it's complicated, and it does really touch on that. And like you said, it was one of the better parts story wise. It while it felt predictable, it still was very compelling once it wrapped up.
Yeah, and I think it was packaged in a way that maybe I haven't heard or seen before.
True.
The way they wrap it up towards the end. There was a moment where I mentioned the scene earlier where it's like when they're first all back together in the strange world and Yeager's now joined the group. and Ethan and Meridian are like observing them interacting and how they have all the same body language and little physical, tics or routines or whatever. But I thought it was funny because they do that, and then they cut to Meridian and Ethan, and they're also like gesturing in the same way.
Yeah.
It was just like a very small, cute moment.
It was cute, and they do it throughout the film. Actually, like even they just like like at the same time they'll like take a sigh of relief. So I noticed those moments too. That was pretty cute. I think you mentioned earlier, maybe you didn't, your least favorite part of the movie. I just remembered mine.
Okay.
The random ass board game that they started playing in the middle of their adventure. It made me feel like one of those times someone's explaining a too complicated board game to me that I'm like, unfortunately, I know I'm not going to understand in the allotted amount of time.
Well, Primal Order or something, like some trading card game. Did it have, is that what like triggered the realization that it was, I don't know.
No, I don't think so. Maybe. It probably did. I totally was like, this is so stupid.
Yeah. I don't know. This
to
movie,
me,
this was a good movie.
Are you ready for that? To me, this was like if the movie was a major success, there'd be kids asking for that game. That's what that was for me.
Okay. I wonder if there's a playable version. There's
Not
got to be
yet.
in Disney World.
It just started, Evan. Relax. I think there's ready for this. I don't think there will be a sequel. I think you hit the nail on the head. I'm predicting a Disney Plus series follow up.
Yeah. I'm
Six-part.
looking at it now. It's
That's my guess. 6 eps.
Generally positive reviews from critics, but was a box office
Really?
bomb with projections of as much as $147 million loss for Disney.
Wow. Read that number one more time to me because that was a big number.
$147 million loss.
Oh, no.
That's right.
That doesn't feel right to me because this was better than that big of a loss.
Yeah. This
Kids,
was,
I see kids freaking like out the door for this movie. I should have, I felt like.
This is like a rung down on the fun sci-fi adventure ladder as Lightyear was.
Yeah,
was a
it
great
felt very
sci-fi
Lightyear to me.
fun romp. This is not as maybe great as that movie was, in my opinion, but it is still very good. I don't know.
You know what? This may be a good segue actually into some Letterboxd reviews. Let me read this very first one here as you're saying this. It's 2.5 stars. It says ... better than Lightyear, I guess? Question mark. I feel like I don't know it was better than Lightyear, but I think that's like a good sentiment to this.
Yeah.
And then 3 stars. The lack of marketing was strange for this.
So you know how Letterboxd does that thing where it'll hide spoilers if they're mentioned in the. So I clicked I can handle it, and this one is 3.5 stars. Oliver Swift writes, "So did they travel through the turtle's asshole?"
Wait, but did they? Now Oliver has me wondering. I feel like they popped out pretty close to the eye, though. No.
Yeah, but where did they enter? Like the ear, maybe. I feel like
It's probably
no. They
the
had to go.
ear.
They had to go through the stomach, though.
But maybe they were in the butt. Maybe that's where Avalon like is under the butt.
This is a story of Ant-Man flying into Thanos' butt.
Yeah. So this is great, Evan. Oh my God, 3 stars. This is why we do Letterboxd reviews right here. 3 stars. Designers created wildly fun, breathtaking visuals. Writers were eating glue in the corner. Oh, that's good. That's how I feel about this. This is 2.5 stars. 2.5 stars. If my dad named me Searcher, I would just kill myself. Oh my God. People are wild.
Maybe that's why Ethan's so angsty. 4 stars. Cute, to be honest. Why is everyone hating? You're not Steven Spielberg. Yeah, it's somewhere in there. Like it's
somewhere
catching an unnecessary amount of flack. It's okay.
Yeah,
it's an all right movie.
Overall, is averaging 3 stars on Letterboxd. What would you rate it? Do you think that's fair?
Yeah.
What are you rating it? Just give it a rating.
It's like a
3 out of 5. Is that good? Would
that
you?
is good. Yeah, that's good. That's like a
Okay.
Yeah, 3 stars.
You may have beaten me for the first time. I'm giving it 2.5 out of 5.
I was debating 2.5 because like I think
Okay, we can agree.
maybe 3. I'm sure
What are you doing right
my
now?
frame of
One.
I feel like my goalposts shift sometimes, but
That's
I feel like a 3. Like a 3 for me is like something that I would recommend to someone. Like
2.5 you wouldn't recommend?
the bare minimum of something I would recommend to someone. So
Okay. I would recommend this.
While this was a good watch, I don't know that I'm telling anyone to go out of their way to watch it. So
Not recommending everyone this movie.
I might give it a 2.5.
Yeah.
Don't go out of your way to watch it. If it's on, it's on.
Yeah.
But it's good.
If you have a kid, watch it with them.
Absolutely.
You're arguing over 0.5 here with yourself. So, okay.
Hey, I'm trying to establish some routine and system with
You
how
want some
I rate
benchmark.
stuff. Yeah.
1 means this, 2 means this. And here, I'm giving like 5 stars 3 times in a row.
Okay.
You have your closing thoughts? Let's. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
this has been strange enough. What are your closing thoughts here?
2.5 stars feels right for this movie. This is a good sci-fi film. It is. It's a little generic in like its scripting. The world itself feels sort of fresh and inventive in ways, but I'd say the dialogue and maybe like the character arcs don't do anything that innovative.
Groundbreaking.
I commend it for its LGBTQ representation, but it always feels like there's this asterisk with Disney. Because I feel like this is the 3rd or 4th time we've heard first openly gay character, but this one is the first time it's explicitly, I guess. No, Lightyear, it wasn't centered at all. Okay, yeah, I don't know. But
like you said, the third first ever openly gay character. It's all a thing with Disney, and it feels like a thing sometimes with them.
Yeah,
most of the time.
Yeah, so I hope that the representation continues. I hope that the normalization. I hope one day we can get to a place where that is not a reason that people will review bomb a thing, or that that it doesn't get marketing dollars. This movie, unfortunately, couldn't reach that escape velocity. But the more movies we have like that, like this, or like Lightyear, which had a gay character in it as well, we'll get there eventually. We'll finally travel from the butthole of representation to the eye.
Get there somehow.
We'll get there somehow.
Good closing thoughts.
Thank you.
I think you actually had like the perfect summation of this. This was a good sci-fi movie. It was not great. I genuinely think, though, if I was like 10 years old, this would be my jam. And so like it was fun for those aspects where I was like, oh, this is the stuff I loved as a kid. The mystery of it, the sci-fi, the visuals, it was cool. It was funny. Like I said, just as an adult watching it on my own, there was definitely times I was on my phone more so, not to call myself out like Evan does every time. But so, yeah, like I said, I really enjoyed it. And I think that it is bullshit that it didn't get more attention, in all honesty. It really should have. Yeah. I guess that's the line I'm trying to walk. I'm not like saying this is the best animated Disney film of all time. What are people thinking? But like it definitely deserves way more attention than it's getting right now.
Mm-hmm. And I think one thing I appreciate about this movie is that it's like a thing we don't see a lot of in like in theaters now. It's like it's a one-off sci-fi adventure movie. We don't get
it's not a 4-part series.
Yeah, we don't get adventure movies anymore. Like you watch The Whale, famously Brendan Fraser, and The Mummy, and that had a trilogy. But like those are fun adventure movies, National Treasure, that kind of thing. Those eventually, spin off into series. But like just like a nice adventure movie, you pop in, you get your bucket of popcorn, and it's a fun ride. So
careful, these Avatar fans are about to start coming for you. They're like, that's what the movie was.
So yeah, watch Strange World. It's on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
This is all I got. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No.
I think I feel like there's.
You ready for this? Because this episode we've spoiled it. There's no news. We're out of time here. It's not in the proper order.
I do.
What? You have news?
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't pull these up in our last.
Stop!
Meeting.
What the hell? Okay, go ahead.
We talked about this one. About a series we covered previously, Bee and Puppy Cat. Toho, which is like a big Japanese media company, has acquired 50% ownership in not only Bee and Puppycat, but also Bravest Warriors and Catbug. Wasn't Catbug a Bravest Warriors character?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it
I didn't know
it was in both. Catbug was in both.
Oh, I didn't know if that character got
I don't know
its
if it
own
was a
series.
spin-off. I just think Catbug was a character in both of them, honestly.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. I could be wrong.
But I thought that maybe the Netflix Bee and Puppycat was like a dead end. So to hear that there is
Doesn't
investment,
sound like it.
ongoing investment in this and Bravest Warriors, a series that is formative to this podcast, is super exciting. We should cover it on the podcast sometime. You had sent me a trailer for Koala Man. Do you want to tell me?
Well, the cast
I watched the
looked
trailer.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael Cusack, Hugh Jackman, Sarah Snook, Shaban of
I know.
Succession, Jermaine Clement,
off.
Hugo Weaving.
I know. That's what I literally was like, they're all of these
Mr.
actors.
Anderson. Human
I was like,
beings
all of these people are in an
fire.
animated show called Koala Man. What the fuck?
Yeah. And Alexander Daddario from White Lotus season 1. That's a pretty fucking yes. So I think it's like it's an adult animation series about an Australian guy who dresses up as a koala. It looks interesting. It is streaming now on Hulu.
It is.
A
it
week
is
ago
now.
on January 9th.
It's started on January 9th in the past.
Yeah. This one it was a weird one I saw. Netflix has I think animated series called Agent Elvis coming out.
Oh.
The series follows Elvis, who becomes a secret government spy to help battle dark forces that threaten the country he loves.
What?
I feel, is it Elvis where
What?
like you hear those rumors that they were like a spy for the U.S. or something?
There was a ton of rumors about Elvis in his later years. So yeah, I mean that was probably one of them.
Last bit of news I got for you. Paul Mescal
timely.
from I never watched the show, but Normal People. He's a younger actor who recently was in headlines for dating Phoebe Bridgers, and there may have been a split. There's a rumored
Careful,
split.
Dylan's listening.
Paul Mescal has been cast as Lucius, the son of Lucilla, in Ridley Scott's Gladiator 2. Did you know there was going to be a Gladiator 2 sequel?
No, my cousins are going to lose their mind. They are obsessed with the first Gladiator movie.
No, that's a 20-year sequel I can get behind.
Yeah. I was about to say, you watch out. These Avatar fans are about to kill you, Evan. You hypocritical motherfucker.
20 years after the fact.
Yes. Evan's like, oh, and it's going to be a 5-part series, and I love that.
They're going to have motion captured lions in the gladiator arena.
Oh, God. Good news. Very timely news.
Yeah. Anything else you want to discuss?
Oh, no. You know, we're now in the new era, 50 plus episodes. So
50 plus episodes. Yeah.
it feels crazy.
50.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah. No. Oh, wait, no.
No,
We did this on our last episode. We reflected on our podcast up to this point.
that's right. We'll reflect.
In episode 50.
Or we did reflect. We did reflect. God damn it. Stop. Fuck. Whew. Yeah.
That's all I got for this episode.
Same here. I'm gonna sign us off. Thanks. This was fun. Okay. For more Two Dudes, please check out our other episodes on Apple, Spotify, and of course, please go on YouTube and make sure you subscribe. Don't forget to follow us at Two Dudes Watch Cartoons on both Instagram and TikTok. And please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It always helps people find us.
That'll do it for this episode of the podcast. We will catch you next time. And I hope the outro works this time. It says going live, but I don't think it will.
I don't hear it though.
Two dudes watch cartoons.